The research vessel Horizon rocked violently as another massive wave crashed against its hull. Nathan Reed gripped the railing of the observation deck, his knuckles white with tension. The storm had come out of nowhere, transforming the calm Pacific waters into a maelstrom of angry swells and howling winds. "Dr. Reed." The ship's first mate bellowed over the storm. "We need to abort the mission. These readings are off the charts." Nathan's eyes remained fixed on his equipment displays. The anomalous energy signatures he'd been tracking for months had suddenly intensified, coinciding perfectly with the freak storm. This was no coincidence. 5 more minutes, he shouted back, adjusting the sensitivity on his deep-sea sensors. The readings were like nothing he'd ever seen in 15 years of marine research, complex patterns that almost resembled communication signals, emanating from far below the surface. A brilliant flash of blue-green light erupted from the depths, illuminating the churning waters. Nathan's instruments exploded with activity. Something was rising fast from the abyss. "Holy!" Nathan breathed as a form breached the surface amid the waves. His scientific mind struggled to process what he was seeing. The creature was humanoid but clearly not human. Its skin had a luminescent quality that pulsed with patterns of light, and what appeared to be gills lined its neck. Their eyes met across the tempest. Hers were like swirling pools of opal, and in that moment, Nathan felt a presence brush against his mind, alien yet somehow familiar. Then he saw the wound in her side, glowing with an ethereal light. Without thinking, Nathan grabbed a life preserver and dove into the raging sea. The freezing water shocked his system, but he forced himself to swim toward the injured being. As he reached her, her hand grasped his arm with surprising strength. The moment they touched, Nathan's world exploded with sensation. Images and emotions that weren't his own flooded his consciousness, vast underwater cities, strange technologies, and a desperate flight from something terrible. Then darkness claimed them both as another wave crashed overhead. When Nathan regained consciousness, he was lying on the deck of the Horizon, coughing up seawater. The storm had passed as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving an eerie calm in its wake. He sat up with a start, looking frantically around. "She's safe." The ship's doctor, James Morton, stepped forward. "Though I have to admit, in 30 years of medicine, I've never seen anything quite like her." Nathan followed James to the ship's infirmary. There she lay on a medical bed, her luminescent skin casting soft patterns on the walls. Medical sensors beeped steadily, monitoring vital signs that didn't quite match any known parameters. "The wound is healing itself," James reported, gesturing to her side. "Some kind of biological regeneration I've never seen before." "Nathan, what exactly did we fish out of the ocean?" Before Nathan could respond, her eyes fluttered open. The presence he'd felt before returned, stronger now. Words formed in his mind, not spoken but felt. "I am Vena. Thank you for saving me, Nathan Reed." Nathan stepped closer, drawn by an inexplicable sense of connection. "How do you know my name?" "When we touched, our minds connected," her thought voice explained. "My people, the Aquari, communicate this way. We have lived in Earth's oceans for centuries, hidden from humanity until now. Why reveal yourself now?" Nathan asked, both thrilled and terrified by the implications of her existence. Vena's mental voice carried undertones of sadness and urgency. "Because we no longer have a choice. Something is coming, Nathan. Something that threatens both our peoples. We need humanity's help, and you are now our first contact." Nathan looked into those otherworldly eyes and knew his life would never be the same. The boundary between land and sea, human and alien, was about to blur in ways that would reshape both their worlds forever. The following days aboard the Horizon felt like a dream to Nathan. He'd fabricated a cover story about finding an unknown marine species, but he knew it wouldn't hold up to serious scrutiny. Every moment he could spare was spent with Vena, learning about her world. Your oceans hide more than just my people. Vena's thoughts flowed into his mind as they sat in the ship's observation room. The midnight waters stretched endlessly before them, and her bioluminescent patterns cast dancing lights across the walls. There are wonders your science has yet to discover. Nathan watched, mesmerized, as she created three-dimensional images in the air between them, holographic projections formed by the manipulation of water molecules. She showed him the Aquari's hidden city, La Maria, nestled in an underwater canyon thousands of feet below the surface. Crystal spires and organic architecture merged seamlessly with the natural formation, powered by thermal vents and protected by advanced energy fields. It's extraordinary, Nathan breathed, reaching out to touch one of the images. His hand passed through it, dispersing the water molecules. But why hide? With technology like this, you could have revealed yourselves ages ago. Vena's expression darkened, her skin's luminescence dimming. We are refugees, Nathan. The last survivors of a civilization that spanned 3 ocean worlds in the Centauri system. We fled to Earth when our worlds were destroyed by the Void Hunters. The name sent a chill through Nathan's mind. Through their growing mental connection, he caught glimpses of massive shadow ships that devoured entire oceans, leaving dead worlds in their wake. And now they've followed you here. We detected their probe ships at the edge of your solar system, Vena confirmed. That is why I was near the surface, part of a scouting team assessing humanity's readiness for contact. We need allies, Nathan. But there is much disagreement among my people about trusting humans. Nathan understood their hesitation. Humanity's track record with the oceans wasn't exactly stellar. And what do you think? He asked softly. Vena moved closer, her iridescent eyes searching his. I think there is hope. I have seen your mind, Nathan Reed. Your passion for understanding, your dedication to protecting ocean life. Not all humans share these qualities, but enough do. The proximity between them sent electricity through Nathan's nerves. Their mental connection deepened, and he felt her emotions more clearly, hope mixed with fear, and something else, something growing between them that defied easy categorization. A sharp knock at the door shattered the moment. Dr. Morton entered, his face grave. Nathan, we've got company. 2 government vessels approaching from the northwest. They're requesting to board and inspect our specimen. Nathan's heart raced. He looked at Vena, who had already grasped the situation through their link. They cannot find me here, her thoughts urgently pressed into his mind. If the wrong people learn of us too soon, everything will be lost. The specimen expired and we were forced to dispose of the body, Nathan said quickly to Morton. Document it in the log. I'll handle the inspection team. Morton raised an eyebrow but nodded. He'd seen enough unusual things in his career to know when not to ask questions. I'll update the records. You have about an hour. After Morton left, Nathan turned to Vena. Can you make it back to your city? Yes, but Nathan. She touched his hand, and a flood of images filled his mind, coordinates, communication frequencies, security protocols. If you need to reach me, use these. And... She hesitated, then pressed something small and crystalline into his palm. This will help you understand. Before Nathan could respond, Vena moved with liquid grace to the observation room's moon pool. She turned back one last time, her skin pulsing with patterns that spoke of emotions too complex for words. Then she dove, disappearing into the dark waters. Nathan clutched the crystal device, watching the government ships approach on the horizon. His world had expanded beyond imagination in just a few days, and now he stood at a crossroads. The fate of 2 civilizations might depend on what he did next. The crystal hummed softly in his hand, waiting to reveal its secrets. Whatever came next, Nathan knew one thing with absolute certainty: he would see Vena again, and nothing in heaven or earth or the endless seas between would stop him. The crystal pulsed with soft light in Nathan's quarters, its glow intensifying as he held it closer. After successfully deflecting the government inspection team with carefully doctored research logs, he finally had a moment to examine Vena's gift. As his fingers traced its faceted surface, the crystal responded to his touch. A holographic display erupted from its core, filling the room with a three-dimensional star map. But it was more than just visual. Nathan felt information flowing directly into his mind, as if the device was teaching him to think in new ways. Incredible, he whispered, watching the map zoom in on Earth's oceans. Dozens of quarry settlements appeared, hidden in the deepest trenches and most remote corners of the sea. But what caught his attention was a massive energy signature moving through the Pacific, heading straight for Lamaria. A knock at his door nearly made him drop the crystal. "Come in," he called, quickly dimming the hologram. Dr. Morton entered, his expression troubled. "Nathan, we need to talk. The government ships aren't leaving. They're establishing a perimeter around our research zone." Nathan's stomach tightened. "What are they looking for?" "They're not saying. But I got a call from an old colleague at NOAA. There's been unusual seismic activity in this region. Energy patterns that don't match any known geological phenomenon." Morton hesitated. "Like something big is moving down there." The crystal in Nathan's hand grew warm. Through his enhanced connection to it, he understood, the Void Hunter's advance probe had arrived ahead of schedule. The seismic readings weren't from Lamaria, they were from something hunting it. "James," Nathan said carefully, "what if I told you we're not alone in Earth's oceans? That there are things down there beyond our current scientific understanding?" Morton sat heavily in the room's only chair. "I'd say I've spent enough time at sea to know that's probably true. And I'd ask what you're planning to do about it." Nathan activated the crystal fully, letting its holographic display fill the room. Morton's eyes widened as he took in the star map, the hidden cities, and the massive dark signature approaching them. "I'm going to need your help," Nathan said. "And we don't have much time." Over the next few hours, Nathan explained everything, the quarry, Vena, and the threat approaching Earth. Morton listened without interruption, his scientific skepticism warring with the evidence before his eyes. "So these Void Hunters," Morton said finally, "they're like interstellar apex predators? Consuming the oceans of entire worlds?" "And everything in them," Nathan confirmed. "The Aquari are refugees from their last attack. If we don't warn them about the probe..." He didn't need to finish the thought. Morton stood, straightening his coat. "The Horizon is equipped with deep-sea communication equipment. If your crystal can interface with it, we might be able to boost its signal enough to reach Lamaria. You're going to help?" Nathan asked, surprised by the lack of resistance. "Son, I've spent 40 years studying the oceans. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that life finds a way. And if there's intelligent life down there trying to survive." Morton smiled grimly. "Well, we humans ought to be neighborly." They worked through the night, modifying the ship's equipment with guidance from the crystal's database. Nathan's mind expanded as he absorbed more of the Aquari's technical knowledge, understanding concepts that would have seemed impossible days ago. Dawn was breaking when they finally achieved a stable connection. Nathan felt Vena's presence touch his mind immediately, but something was wrong. Her thoughts were chaotic, filled with fear. "Nathan. The probe, it's not just scanning. It's already begun its harvest sequence. Our outer settlements." Images of destruction filled his mind, massive tentacles of living shadow ripping through underwater habitats, consuming everything in their path. "We're coming to help," Nathan sent back, his thoughts strengthened by the crystal's power. "But Vena, there's something else. The surface ships, they're not leaving. If your people try to evacuate, they'll be detected. The council is divided." Vena's thoughts came faster now, more urgent. "Some want to reveal ourselves to humanity, seek asylum. Others believe it will only lead to more death. Nathan, I need you. Our people need you. The emotion in her mental voice made his heart race. Through their connection, he felt her drawing closer, rising through the depths toward the horizon. At the same time, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Multiple contacts. Morton shouted from the bridge. Something huge is moving under us. The crystal in Nathan's hand blazed with light as the water around the ship began to churn. A choice lay before him, one that would change the fate of two species forever. And in that moment, as both surface ships and shadow monsters converged on their position, Nathan knew exactly what he had to do. The ocean erupted around the horizon. Massive shapes broke the surface, not the darkness of the Void Hunters, but the crystalline architecture of quarry vessels rising from the deep. Their organic forms glowed with the same bioluminescent patterns as Vena's skin, pulsing with power and purpose. Through the crystal's enhanced connection, Nathan felt hundreds of quarry minds linking together, forming a vast network of consciousness. Among them, he recognized Vena's familiar presence, now part of something greater. The council has voted, her thoughts reached him. We choose survival. We choose trust. The government ships had their weapons trained on the alien vessels, but Nathan could see their crews standing transfixed by the spectacular display. The quarry ships formed a defensive perimeter around the horizon, their energy fields humming with potential. This is Dr. Nathan Reed of the research vessel Horizon. Nathan broadcast on all frequencies, his voice steady despite his racing heart. I am in contact with representatives of an advanced aquatic civilization seeking refuge in Earth's oceans. They come in peace, but they bring warning of an imminent threat to all life on our planet. As if in response to his words, the sea began to darken. Something vast and hungry was rising from the depths, its shadow blotting out the morning sun. The Void Hunter's probe had arrived. Through the crystal's knowledge, Nathan understood what he was seeing, a biological machine designed to analyze and consume entire oceans, converting all life into energy for its masters. Its massive form was composed of living shadow, tentacles of pure darkness that absorbed light and matter alike. All vessels, fall back. Nathan commanded. But before anyone could move, those dark tentacles shot from the water, wrapping around the nearest quarry ship. The crystalline vessel's lights flickered as the probe began to drain its energy. Vena's voice cut through the chaos in Nathan's mind. The crystal, Nathan. It contains more than just knowledge, it's a key to our most powerful defense technology. But we need a human mind to activate it. Our biology isn't compatible. Nathan gripped the crystal tightly, letting its stored knowledge flow through him. He understood now, the quarry had been preparing for this moment, creating hybrid technology that could combine their psychic abilities with human consciousness. They hadn't just been hiding, they'd been waiting for the right moment, the right person. Dr. Morton. Nathan called out. I need you to boost power to all our transmitters. Everything we've got. As Morton worked, Nathan focused on the crystal, letting his mind merge with its ancient programming. The quarry ships began to pulse in sync with his thoughts, their energy patterns aligning. Through their shared mental network, he felt Vena guiding him, teaching him how to shape the vast powers at his disposal. The Void Hunter probe sensed the building energy and released its prey, turning its full attention to the horizon. Dark tentacles reached for the ship, but they couldn't penetrate the field of light now emanating from the crystal in Nathan's hands. Now, my love, Vena's thoughts entwined with his. Show them the true power of our worlds united. Nathan released the crystal's full potential. A blast of pure psychic energy, amplified by human determination and quarry technology, erupted from the device. The beam struck the probe's central mass, and for a moment, the shadow creature seemed to freeze. Then, with a sound like reality tearing, the probe began to dissolve. Its dark substance broke apart, unable to maintain cohesion against the combined mental assault of human and quarry consciousness. The shadow tentacles withdrew into nothingness, leaving only scattered particles floating on the waves. As the light faded, Nathan became aware of the government ships moving closer. But they weren't raising weapons, they were radioing for diplomatic contact. On their decks, crews stood witnessing history, humanity's first official contact with an alien civilization. Venna's ship surfaced next to the horizon, and she emerged onto its crystalline deck. Even at a distance, their mental connection was stronger than ever. Nathan felt her joy, her relief, and something deeper that had been growing between them since that first storm-tossed encounter. This is only the beginning, her thoughts caressed his mind. The Void Hunters will send more probes, more harvesters. But now we face them together. Nathan looked at the crystal in his hand, still humming with potential, then at the government ships approaching with their impromptu diplomatic missions. Humanity's world had just expanded infinitely, and he stood at the center of that change. Together, he agreed, and felt Venna's smile in his mind. 1 year after first contact, Nathan stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Harmony Station, a floating city that served as the bridge between human and Aquari civilization. Below the waves, he could see the luminescent spires of La Maria rising from the depths, no longer hidden from the world. The crystal hung at his throat, a permanent reminder of the day that changed everything. Its soft glow pulsed in sync with his heartbeat, a physical manifestation of the bond he now shared with both worlds. Admiring the view? Venna's familiar presence touched his mind before she emerged from the station's aquatic access pool. Her bioluminescent patterns shimmered with contentment as she moved to stand beside him. Hard not to, Nathan smiled, taking her hand. Through their enhanced connection, he felt her happiness mingling with his own. Sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come. The past year had been a whirlwind of diplomacy, technological exchange, and preparation. The Aquari had shared their advanced environmental restoration technology, helping humanity begin to heal Earth's damaged oceans. In return, humans had offered their expertise in space travel and defensive systems, strengthening their mutual defense against the Void Hunters. The council meeting went well, Venna reported, her thoughts carrying images of the day's discussions. The human representatives are remarkably adaptable. Even the military commanders are beginning to understand our ways. Nathan nodded. The integration hadn't been without challenges, there were still those on both sides who resisted change. But the shared threat of the Void Hunters had proven a powerful motivator for cooperation. Dr. Morton's team made a breakthrough with the hybrid shields, Nathan shared, sending her images of the latest tests. We can now protect entire coastlines from the probe's energy-draining effects. Venna's skin pulsed with proud colors. And our scientists have successfully merged human sonar technology with our psychic navigation systems. The deep-sea colonies will be much safer now. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sunset paint the ocean in brilliant hues. Through the crystal's connection, Nathan sensed movement in the depths, pods of whales swimming alongside Aquari transports, schools of fish darting through restored coral reefs. Life flourishing in the partnership of two worlds. Do you ever regret it? Nathan asked softly. Revealing yourselves to us? Taking that risk? Venna turned to face him, her opalescent eyes reflecting the dying sunlight. How could I regret the choice that led me to you? Through their bond, Nathan felt the full depth of her emotion, not just for him, but for the future they were building together. The crystal amplified their connection, letting him experience her memories of that stormy night when fate had tangled them together in a fishing net. An alert chimed from the station's communication system. Dr. Reed, a voice announced, the Joint Defense Fleet has detected unusual activity at the edge of the solar system. They're requesting your presence in the command center. Duty calls, Nathan sighed, but there was no real regret in his voice. This was the life they'd chosen, guardians of two worlds, bridges between species. Venna's hand tightened in his. Whatever comes next, we face it together. As we always have. As they made their way to the command center, Nathan reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From a chance encounter in a storm to the forefront of humanity's greatest adventure, their story was proof that love could transcend the boundaries of species and space. The crystal at his throat hummed with power and possibility. Above them, stars twinkled with the promise of unknown wonders and challenges ahead. But as long as humans and Aquari stood united, as long as hearts and minds remained open to connection, there was hope for all their tomorrows. In the depths of Earth's oceans and the depths of space itself, a new chapter was beginning. And Nathan and Venna would write it together, one page at a time, in the eternal dance of land and sea, human and Aquari, bound by love and united by destiny.